'Cause I may be bad, but I'm perfectly good at it. Sex in the air, I don't care, I love the smell of it. Hello and welcome to the next episode of Matt and Todd Go to the Movies with special guest, Marie. This is the podcast where all three of us went and saw a movie at our local Regal Cinema Theater, and now we're going to talk about it. In Matt's on the Pilot, right after the movie, in the parking garage, we're going to talk about such things as should you see this movie? Should you not see this movie? Should you bring snacks? Should you bring a date? Should you bring your kids? Should you go alone? Should you nap during it? Do you need to pay attention? We're going to talk about all these things, maybe some more, maybe some less, but you know what? We try our best, and that's why you keep coming back. I am Todd Domer.
And I'm Matt Malloy, and I'm all about tried my best.
There we go.
Because that's what we got for you. We saw a movie. This movie is called Challengers. Tim's not with us tonight, so I'll tell you who's in this movie. Zendaya's in this movie.
Yeah.
That's it, really. Other people, maybe they've been in something, but as far as big household names, she's it.
If you watch The Crown, I think I just heard Marie say something before we started about The Crown. If you watch The Crown, someone in this movie is in The Crown.
One of the main principal three actors.
Yeah, someone in this movie is the Crown.
But anyway.
Are they the Crown in The Crown, or who are they in The Crown?
No, I don't think the Crown is a man.
Is it a
Crown
person?
Is a man?
What? The Crown?
Yeah.
It's a series.
And,
it's a TV series.
And who holds the
Who
crown?
is the Crown?
Patrick is the Crown.
Oh, okay. Got it.
Patrick in this movie? Which one was Patrick in this movie?
There's no Patrick.
There's no Patrick.
Oh, yes, there is.
Which
Patrick
one was-
Zeig.
Oh, okay. So he's the Crown.
Okay.
All right. I'm glad we cleared that up because I don't know if I'm going to sleep tonight.
Yes. So.
Sorry, Art. You're nothing.
So, what's this movie about? Well, this movie takes place in unordered time, not in linear time, but we go back and forth between the old and the new. And so I don't really like that, telling you about that, but I'll try. Basically, there's three young tennis players, Art, Patrick, and Zendaya's character, whose name is Tashi. Yeah. And they're all really good at tennis, and they're on the rise. And then Patrick turns pro, and Art and Tashi go to Stanford, where Tashi is injured. And there's sparks between all players throughout this movie. There is continued love, interest, sexual tension between all three at different points, and but we progress and follow the career of Art, who ends up marrying Tashi, and the career of Patrick, who turns pro at an earlier age and never really amounts to much. However, Art does have a better career than him, and it all culminates in this little tiny tournament in New Rochelle, New York, where they end up facing off in the finals. And there's a lot of metaphor here for the relationship between the three of them that happens through tennis. So, that's kind of what I'm going to say about this movie. You kind of have to see it to really get what's going on. It's hard to explain the plot. But that's what I'll say about it. Todd, what is your opinion? What is your gut reaction to Challengers?
Well, I feel like I have to start by saying this movie, to me, I could be very wrong, is a ripoff of another movie that's called For the Love of the Game, which was a Kevin Costner movie, not before he dropped off, but kind of like maybe right after Postman, where people kind of stopped caring about him. That movie he's a pitcher for the MLB in that movie, and he's pitching a game, and while he's pitching the game, he's thinking of memories of this long relationship he has with someone. So the entire movie is cutting from him pitching this game, which turns out to be his last game, and him kind of going through the steps of this relationship that he's in. And this one's different, but the gist of these two movies is kind of similar, just add a third person into the mix for this tennis thing. So Were they going for that? I don't know. Like, did they steal this idea? I don't know. But that was my thought while we were in this movie, was like, this is very familiar to me. Where am I feeling this from? And then I finally found out. So, do with that information as you will, public. I'm just throwing it out there. Now,
thrown.
on to the gut reaction.
Yes.
I liked parts of this movie, and then there were many parts that I thought this movie was real dumb. And I will be specific about the dumb parts. This movie's soundtrack is ridiculously stupid. And this movie's, the way it's shot and how scenes play out and all this kind of stuff is real bad. Like, one of the worst movies I've ever seen. As far as ridiculous close-ups for no reason. Sometimes it was warranted. But too many scenes fading to black. Like, how are we going to transition out of where we are now? Let's just fade to black. And I just really thought in general, all the camera work, some scenes lingered for way too long. The camera work I didn't think was very good. It got exciting at times when they were playing tennis and what they did in that aspect. But then the simplest shots in the world of two people talking, like, you would do like a far out scene and like they're all talking, and then it would be slow zoom in to a super close up of one person, and then maybe zoom back out, and then a zoom real slow up to the other person. All that stuff was just very distracting to me. I thought it was real bad. I think a lot of that just falls on the director. Like, I don't know if I've seen any other movies by this person. You were saying some of them, right? At some point, Marie? Or were you just...
Do you want me to get that list?
I would like to know, because now I'm curious. But I was really, like... The story itself is interesting enough. You're kind of in this, like, weird erotic thriller throuple with these three people. And... You know, it's interesting to see their dynamic. You know, you've got two basically best friends who meet a girl, and they both kind of have feelings for the girl real fast, and they both kind of lust after her real fast, and then as soon as they all kind of meet, that's when she starts playing a game almost with them. But you're kind of curious, like, it's not like I'm playing just to play. You know, maybe you could argue that at all times she's just trying to bring the best tennis out of everyone because she has this passion for tennis. But I would say the other kind of frustrating thing to me is the ending. I think it's very up in the air. Like, I don't know much about tennis, but I had some questions, and it's like, I know that, like, if I'm talking to the person who made the movie, they'd be like, well, you know, who won the final match doesn't matter. Like, it's all about what got worked out. But it's such a tiny detail. Like, why? It does matter to me. Like, I like nice, you know, unless you're going through a complete, like, shocking, like, oh, I like things wrapped up in a nice, neat bow. There's no bow to this. It's very out there. I wasn't that big of a fan of the ending, but I was really enthralled by the ending. Like, when we get the last, like, 20 minutes, things are unraveling, and, like, the intensity of playing tennis is ramping up and stuff like that. And I felt like I was like, you had me kind of hook, line, and sinker at that point. Like, I'd kind of gone through this 2-hour movie being kind of like frustrated a whole bunch, being lost in some places, being like, I don't know who to root for in this movie because everyone seems awful. And then you get to like this kind of like, you're ramping up this tennis game, and I'm like enthralled. You got me hook, line, and sinker. And then it's like a huge disappointment to me. Like the ending. Which we won't talk about because we're spoiler free here. So, there are times where I think the acting is good, and then there are times where I thought everyone was super bland. Like, it was kind of all over the place. And I guess it's hard because you're getting people at different stages in their life. So, of course, they should be acting different. Like, and I think that was hard for everyone to pull off at times. Because, you know, you go from 18-year-olds to 20 or 31, 32-year-olds. Like, so, I mean, I get that there should be a difference in how they are acting, how they work, how they talk, and stuff like that, because time has gone by. But I would say there's just as many well-acted scenes as there are horribly acted scenes. Should you see this in the theater? That's a tough one. I don't think the theater experience is essential to this movie. Like, I don't think seeing it in the theater will add or subtract to your viewing of it. Like, I don't think by watching it at home and it being scaled down to a smaller TV or smaller screen is going to matter in a movie like this. I always support the theater experience over just waiting for movies to come out. But I don't know if I could say this is such a banger that I'm like, you should get out there and see it. So I'm going to lean on not being able to answer that question for you. You got to make up your own mind. I think some people will absolutely love to see this movie in theaters. I think some people will maybe feel a little like me when they come out. So I don't know. That's a hard one. But I'm going to stop rambling at this point. I do respect tennis. I want to throw that out there. I think tennis is an incredibly hard sport. And I like seeing tennis at a super high level. So that was enjoyable. But that's going to be me. Marie.
First, I want to say Josh O'Connor played Prince Charles in The Crown.
Mm-hmm.
And second of all, your question about Luca Guadagnino. His films are characterized by their emotional complexity, eroticism, and sumptuous visuals. He has collaborated with Tilda Swinton, Dakota Johnson, Timothy Chalamet, Michael Stuhlbarg, among other things. Some of his other movies are called The Protagonist from 1999, I Am Love, A Bigger Splash, Call Me By Your Name in 2017.
Call Me By Your Name.
That one.
Yeah.
Superia, 2018, Beckett, 2021, Bones and All, Enya, Holiday, and then apparently another one's coming out called Queer in 2024.
Okay.
I'm not sure if I've seen any of those movies besides I know about Call Me By Your Name.
Yeah, I've seen it.
The Love Factory in 2008 was a documentary, a bunch of Italian documentary, most recently Salvador, Shoemaker of Dreams, The Truffle Hunters, both in 2020. And then he's got a long list of short films. 2020 he did a television series, We Are Who We Are. And a music video in Tell Me You Love Me 2021 with Sufjan Stevens?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Sufjan.
There you
I'm
go.
trying to think. There's a song that has that. Sufjan
He's
Stevens.
won a bunch of awards.
Interesting.
Most recently, in 2022, he won some things at the Venice Film Festival and the Zurich Film Festival.
Nice.
All right.
There you go.
Call Me By Your Name was the professor and the 15-year-old or
Yeah.
something like that, right? Yeah. It was
Yeah,
Timothy
Timothée
Oh,
Chalamet.
Timmy, I said it wrong.
We don't talk
Yeah.
about the other guy because he might be a cannibal, which is why he's been stricken from Hollywood. So
Yeah.
Oh, for real?
yeah, Army Hammer.
Oh, I don't know anything about that. You know, I live in my own world.
Yes.
Which is not necessarily the movies. So my impression was the things I liked about the film. I thought the makeout scenes were fun. The interesting dynamics. I'm all about relationships. I love interesting relationships and dynamics between people, and so this was really an interesting study on that, and how people used relationships to get what they wanted in different ways, and how relationships evolve over time, over a lifetime. How people let go of each other and then come back to each other, and all the interesting things that can happen in between. What I didn't enjoy, like you, Todd, I thought some of the cinematography was inconsistent. They went back and forth a lot with the tennis scenes and used, however they do these things, the view of the ball, and which was interesting. But there was a lot of blurry scenes when they were playing tennis. And then there was a lot of words on the screen to tell you like it was a set point or a match or whatever. So I felt like it was almost trying to be an art film in some ways. It was trying to be like that erotic art film with a sports theme in there. I almost feel like I would need more time than the 15 minutes we've had since we left the movie, to kind of sort it out in my head. It was trying to be something, and I'm not sure, and I can't think of the movies that feel similar in style that I've seen that it was trying to emulate, or maybe it was this director's own style. I don't know. I didn't love the ambiguous ending, although when I looked online, there are some people that claim they know what the ending is. And it was unclear to me, really, how the three of them were going to move forward in their relationship. Because when you have three people in a relationship, you have, I lost the count, you have like 6 relationships. You have the 2 couples, 3 couples, and then the relationship altogether. So I guess it's 4 relationships. So their relationship together, their relationship with each other. It didn't make sense to me that what we saw in the very last 30 seconds didn't make sense considering what the 10 minutes prior to that showed us. So it made you think. That's my take on it.
Fair.
All right.
Matt?
Well, like you, Todd, I did like the end of the movie, not the very end, but the last 20 minutes of the movie. I thought really ramped up the intensity and kind of hooked me in, whereas before that in the movie, I kind of felt like, okay, where are we going with this?
Yeah.
These people are doing things they all will regret, or maybe not regret, but someone regrets what's happening somewhere. I thought that the tennis scenes, I didn't like view of ball. I didn't like the blurry stuff. I almost never liked that stuff. But I also thought that outside of that, there was a lot of hitting the ball back and forth. There wasn't a lot of winners. There was a lot of like long volleys. Or if they were showing a whole match, there were a lot of the volleys and less about the winners, and then suddenly it was over.
Did you feel like it took a long time for the ball to get from one side of the court to the other? Like the editing, I thought was like, that took too long.
Yeah, I thought, well, I just thought that there was too much hitting the ball. I mean, I understand it was a tennis.
I agree.
It was a tennis movie, but they could have, if they weren't going to show like score and match point and stuff like that, they could have really shortened down the games and made them less about, let's see Zendaya hitting the ball over and over and over, like in the same game, but it doesn't look any different. It's just her forehand, backhand, etc. And the other guys too. But I did think it was interesting, and though I don't like explaining out of order, a linear time movies, I thought that they did an okay job of it, in the sense that they were able to build something by the end that kind of built on all the years that were covered in the movie. So kudos to them for that. I agree, Todd, that the music was grating and
atrocious.
It was awful.
It was
Terrible.
so bad.
It was so awful.
It reminds me of Uncut Gems. Like,
yes.
I was blown away.
And the one scene where they were dancing when they were young, like in the beginning of the movie, like I feel like they were dancing to a completely different song than the soundtrack was giving us.
Yeah.
Like, or Zendaya, is that her name?
Zendaya
is a terrible dancer. Because there was no rhythm whatsoever. And maybe that was the point. But I don't know. I agree. Bad
Zendaya? Is it Zendaya or is it Zendaya?
Zendaya.
I don't know.
I thought it's Zendaya.
I don't know.
Oh well.
We'll stick with it.
We'll stick with it for now. We'll look at it later.
Yeah. Yeah, the whole soundtrack was so bad. Like, it switched between tonal ridiculousness or some form of weird
Electronic dance music.
Yeah.
song. Like, but those were your two options. Like, if you weren't hearing the grunts and of tennis players or the ball hitting the racket or the ground, you were hearing this ridiculous techno beat thing. And then in any kind of serious situation, someone brought out their kiddie keyboard and was just like, I'll do this random beat. Bong, ding, bong. Like, I was blown away on how bad it was and how distracting it was.
Yeah. So, I guess my feeling on this movie is not great. The last part of it was okay, but the very last part of it was not okay. And so it left me with a sour-ish taste in my mouth. I don't really recommend you see it in theater or not. Unless you're a big Zendaya fan, then you should see it. And if you really like tennis, I don't know if you'd like
I
this
don't
or
know
not.
about that either.
But if you like both Zendaya and tennis, you should definitely see it, and probably go see it in the theater. Because why not?
She was The Greatest Showman.
If you are,
She was in the Greatest Show.
yes.
Is that your advertisement? Go see this movie because she was in this other movie.
No.
That was much better
No.
than this movie.
Go see The Greatest Showman first if you haven't seen that.
Ah.
But you can see this movie if you're a fan.
I also can't think of any other like real good tennis movies.
I can't either.
I mean, all I can think of is King Richard, which I didn't like that movie that much.
Oh yeah, we saw that.
There was Wimbledon, which was Kirsten Dunst and the guy who plays Vision now in the MCU.
Okay.
That's all I can think of as far as tennis movies.
Now, wasn't there another Mary Jane who was in another tennis movie?
There was Battle of the Sexes.
Oh, you're right. Wow, every Mary Jane has been in a tennis movie at this point. Wow.
I only know that
You
because
just-
there's a meme about it.
Oh,
I don't
okay,
know that
okay.
off
I was
the top
like,
of my
wow,
head.
Matt, you just cracked something big right there.
No,
I was
there's a
gonna
meme
you
going
shouldn't say
around.
anything. I was going to give you all the credit. I was going to give you all the accolades for that.
No, I want my
Right.
accolades.
Emma
well
Stone
earned.
was in Battle of the Sexes. Kirsten
Yeah.
Dunst was in Wimbledon, and Zendaya. What did we decide it was? Zendaya was in this movie.
Yes.
Wow. Every Mary Jane has been in a tennis movie.
Mary Jane is an actress character in Spider-Man. If you don't know that, now I've told you.
If you didn't know that, I'm judging
didn't know
real
that,
hard through the podcast.
Todd is judging you.
Super
He's giving you
hard.
the evil eye.
Unbelievable.
But just making it clear for all viewers, all listeners. We don't have any viewers except for people who walk by while we're recording.
True.
So anyway, that's me. Don't really recommend, but
Good stuff.
yeah.
Well, let's get down to business here.
Let's get down to it.
There's a lot of things you could grade this movie on and use it for our point scale, but
Yep.
there's really only one thing
Yep.
that I can think of right
I'm
now.
rooting for something hard, so to speak.
You are on the money.
We didn't talk about those.
How?
I almost
How?
did, but I didn't.
How many penises are you going to give this movie? 0 to 5, because for every person, I'm not saying I'm this person, but for every person who came to see the movie thinking that they were going to see Zendaya, you see some of her, but you're really taken back with how many penises you see in this movie.
Yeah.
They're just out there swinging in the wind.
Swinging.
So 0 being the worst, because then you have 0, and that's not a party.
Right.
5 being the best, because you got 5. That's a good old time, I guess.
I guess.
So, depending on how much you like penises. So,
Right.
Matt?
Well, in this case, more penises is better. And I'm not going to give this a lot of penises. I am instead going to give it 2 penises, which, you know, that's more than enough for most people, I guess. But, what? 2 out of 5 penises for me. I don't really recommend.
Fair.
So-
Marie?
I was gonna say, do not go to the theater to see this movie. I would watch it at home, and I'm gonna go with 2 because that's probably all I can handle at once.
Fair. Fair.
You guys are so cute. You're matching penises scores too.
Yes.
Oh, well, that was not planned.
Um,
Because 2.5 penises just sounds painful.
Agree.
or
So-
someone's having trouble and they gotta
Oh, God.
work through it. I'm.
And 3 is just too many.
Well, now you're just talking crazy. Come on, you're just talking insane now. I'm gonna land on a 1.6. Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna land on the side of don't see this movie in the theater. I don't think it's worth it. Yeah, a lot of things to not like about this movie. So, 1 penis ready to go, and a 0.6 that, I don't know, needs some coaching or something.
Yeah.
So,
Coaching.
yeah.
All right. Well, that's going to wrap it up for this episode of Matt and Todd Go to the Movies, where we saw the movie Challengers, and we ended up with an average score of 1.86 repeating penises out of 5 score, which is low. It's not good. I think we all agree you shouldn't see this movie in the theaters. In fact, we probably agree that you shouldn't see it at all, unless you're a super fan of Zendaya and or tennis.
I don't even think tennis, because we don't know enough about tennis. But if I'm sure that if I were really a tennis person, I'd be yelling, "That's not right."
Yeah,
Just
maybe.
like how I am about medical dramas.
Right.
So I'm pretty sure if you are really a tennis pro and know a lot about tennis, you may not like this movie.
Yeah.
Now, how would you feel if a tennis pro did see this movie and they were like, wow, they really nailed how tennis looks?
But we know that
feels.
that's not true, because
I
we've
would
all
say-
watched tennis.
That is, I guess that's true. I have watched tennis.
We've all watched Serena and Venus, and we know that it doesn't really look like the drama they were.
I thought that the tennis in King Richard was much better
Yeah,
That's
I
fair.
agree.
from a visual perspective than
I
this
agree.
movie.
And there was too much like sweating on the camera. Like I
I liked that. I always like a good sweat.
A good sweat, a good
I
glisten.
mean, I don't mind 2 men sweating.
I mean, that's
fine,
that's
but
an everyday thing for me. That the beads falling off the face. I mean, I feel that
Yeah.
every day at work. So I'm
guess.
like, you're in my wheelhouse for that. Most people would be like, that's too much. I didn't even see that. But that's just a Tuesday for me. So
all
I
the
was-
sweating was with the tennis and not with the sex.
Right.
That is also true.
So I was a little disappointed there.
yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you for listening to our podcast. Please continue to do so. Subscribe, download, etc. And we will bring you more rating systems, including penises, from now on. You know,
There was a movie that we reviewed where afterwards we were joking because I wanted to be like, the ratings were penises. But I was like, I was too scared. I guess that's been knocked
That's right.
out of me.
yeah.
Well,
We're full
you
on
know,
now.
Did they
We're
have
full frontal now.
Did they have full
Hey!
frontal nudity in that movie?
Yes.
Oh, which movie was that?
Oh, I have no idea. I'm sorry. But I know if I was thinking about putting the penis in there, it's because
Yeah.
I saw a penis in the movie.
Right.
Oh,
right.
all right.
I
that
could make
makes
that
it-
connection.
That's fair. That's fair.
I could immediately think of Tim's worst rated movie of all time, Babylon, which definitely had penises in it.
Yeah.
Oh.
That might have been it. Maybe.
Maybe. Well, anyway.
Wasn't the first penis we saw. It won't be the last one.
Correct.
Well, at least they weren't cut. Yeah.
Oh,
Fair enough.
lovely.
All right.
Take us home.
Well, here we go. Thank you for listening. And we will see you next time.
Da 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 da
Da-da.
da da da.
Da-da-da.